Good morning. A few of my good friends have all suggested that I start a YouTube channel, kind of chronicle the craziness that goes on in my life, and kind of put it on the back burner. It's like, people aren't going to think that I'm interesting. Like, nobody's going to really care. And it's just kind of been on my heart a little heavy these last few days. So here we are. Um, I had like this plan in my head of how I would like start the channel off and how I'd introduce myself and do all this cool stuff, to tell you guys about my family. And then I realized that I wanted to be a little open and transparent from my very first video. So the first video on paper will actually have to be my second video. Um, but I want to talk about loss, how you deal with it, what you're supposed to do, if you're supposed to do anything, how you're supposed to feel about it. Um, so let me start by saying my name is Karen Gooch, and I am a wife of one and a mom of nine. We'll get into that in the next video. But today would have been my mother's 61st birthday. My mom was the most perfectly imperfect person that I knew. And every day, she did her best with what she knew, how she knew, why she knew. Um, so today, she would have been 61. April 14th, 2020, my parents were in a car accident, and my mom was not wearing her seatbelt. Apparently, my father was driving. He had his seatbelt on, but he sped through a stop sign. There were some substances in some systems, and he swerved to avoid hitting a car, and they ended up in this nasty flip. And according to Dad, they rolled about 5 times, and when they stopped, the car was upside down, and when he looked over to the passenger side, she wasn't in the car. And he gets out of the car, and only half of her body is showing because the car is on the top half of her body. So people help him rock the car so that they can pull her out from under it, but she's gone. Now, my parents were in Texas, and I'm in Louisiana. So on my side of things, it was a regular day, a regular Tuesday, I believe it was. And my husband, myself, and our children, it's the middle of COVID, so there's no going anywhere. There is no outside. But like most families, we had our bikes. We got our bikes out. We were going on a bike ride. So as we got ready to go on our bike ride, there's this dragonfly. And this dragonfly is working circles around my husband. We're just kind of like what is going on with this dragonfly? Like, what is really happening? And we go on our bike ride. We come back home. We go and we get some street tacos, and he and I are sitting in the middle of the bed. I'm good old crisscross applesauce, having my fat girl moment. And halfway through my tacos, my baby sister calls me, and she says, Mama and Daddy were in an accident. Daddy said Mama was ejected from the car. And so she has my nephew in the car, and I'm trying to keep her calm as she does her drive. And when she gets to the scene, before the phone rung when she called me, I felt it. Like in the bottom of my stomach and my heart, I felt it. So she gets there, and the first thing I hear her say is, no, 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 no. So I know. But I'm telling myself, my mama, she wouldn't leave me. Other people's mamas may leave them, but not mine. She wouldn't leave me. She knows that I need her. Like, she knows that my kids need her. Why would she leave us? So I'm packing because I gotta get to Texas. I gotta go see my mom in the hospital. Like, she just had an accident. The ambulance is about to take her to the hospital. Like, this is where I am. This is where I'm stuck at. And then my phone rings. And it's her. So in my mind, I'm about to answer the phone. And she's going to say, in a way that only she can say, girl, I'm fine. They about to take me to this hospital to check on me, but woo-woo, you know I don't like doctors. I'm okay. And I answer the phone, say, hello? And my dad says, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. You didn't do what? He said, Mama's gone. He said, but I didn't do it. And all I remember saying to him was, but that don't change the fact that my mama dead. Now do it. So I hung up the phone. I'm packing. My husband's just like, what do you need me to do? I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to damn do. So I get in the car, got my bags packed. I am going to Texas. In all honesty, I'm going to Texas to kill my father. That was my thought process. That's all I was focused on. My parents have had a very, very tumultuous relationship my entire life. And he's been physically abusive, and he's always threatened to kill her when he was upset. And all I could think of was, he finally did it. He finally did what he said he was gonna damn do. So I get to Texas. I drive. It's a 6-hour drive from where I am in Louisiana. So 2 hours, not even, into the drive, I get to the Texas-Louisiana border. And at this point, Texas is closed to Louisiana, because at that point in COVID, New Orleans was a hot spot. So it didn't matter that I wasn't coming from New Orleans. I was coming from Louisiana. And Texas said, at Louisiana, we're not having that. So I have to explain to the first highway patrol person why I'm coming into Texas from Louisiana, where I'm going and what I'm doing. So I'm a mess. Because as I've been driving this hour and a half to the border, I've called, family members to let them know what's going on. My grandmother, my mom's mom, has called me, and I've already said, I'm on my way, because this woman has lost a child. My dad has lost a wife. Talk to all of my siblings, because they too have lost a mom. I've had to sit the 5 kids that were still living at home, plus call one on the phone and explain to them that Gamma, because that's who my mom, was to them when I had my first child at 18. She said she was too young to be granny or grandmother. And I was watching ER one day, and Carter on ER called his grandmother Gamma, and it just kind of stick, and everybody ran with it. But I had to explain to them that Gamma and Granddaddy were in an accident, and Gamma didn't make it. So I'm already a mess as I'm driving, and I'm singing, church hymns, and I'm trying to keep myself from losing it, because in this exact moment I want to take my car and run it into the side rail, because this cannot be my life right now. This cannot be happening. This cannot be my reality. But at the same time, I know that it is. So at the first deputy person at the border, I explained to them, I'm crying, I'm a mess. They tell me, go to the next person. Get to the next person, I explain to them, crying even harder now, even more of a mess. And they give me a piece of paper that I have to fill out, tell them where I'm going, all that jazz. So I continue driving, and I get to Waco, and I check into my hotel, and I call my grandmother just to let her know that I made it, while knowing that my husband is on his way to me. 2 of my aunts that also live in Louisiana called my husband about an hour and a half, 2 hours after I got on the road, and my Aunt Diane specifically said, we're sending 2 of your older cousins to come and get your kids. Get in the car, go after your wife. Don't allow her to deal with this on her own. So as I'm driving, my husband is like on my phone really, really heavy. Just on some, I'm trying to make sure you're okay. Like, babe, talk to me. Where are you? What's going on? And I'm driving through back roads of Texas, so my reception is spotty. But I get to Texas. I let him know that I made it. I check into the hotel. And, like they do at most properties, what brings you to town? Business or pleasure? Neither. And so the clerk is like, huh? I was like, yeah, my mom died a few hours ago, so I'm here to handle that. And she says, was that your mama that died in the field earlier today? Yeah. So she comes around the counter and she gives me a hug, and I don't remember that lady's name, but thank you. But she comes around the counter and she gives me a hug, and she says, I'm so sorry for your loss. We had a mixer here this evening, and we have this bottle of wine left over, and I know that that's not going to fix it or make it better, but I want you to have it. So take the wine. I go up to my room. I called my grandmother just to say, hey, Granny, I made it, safe and sound. The husband, is on his way behind me. And my aunt says, there's a video on Facebook that shows your mama dead in the field. What? What are you talking about? And she tells me that one of my cousin's Facebook friends was apparently at the scene, and whether it was for attention, information, views, whatever, we know what it was. He posted the video on his Facebook story. And I asked for his name because it's my mama. I have to see. I have to know. And so I find his page. And I see the video. And I'm looking at the video and I'm saying, get up, mommy. Get up. Like, no. Like, legit in real life. Please get up. Please, like, roll over. And I'm screaming at the paramedics, like, do CPR. She's got a pulse. She doesn't. But, like, save my mom. And so I ask if anybody's reached out to this guy or even my cousin, since he's her friend, to have him take the video down. Cousin says, oh, well, we're Facebook friends, but I don't know him. And I guess essentially it was kind of unwillingness, to try to make that happen. So, okay. I lay down and I'm crying. And an hour and a half later, my husband is there. I've already left a key for him at the front desk. He gets there because he's made me promise that I wouldn't go to my parents' house once I got to Texas, because I was going. And so I can't sleep. I cannot sleep. I feel like I'd be selfish if I went to sleep knowing that my mother is laying on a cold slab somewhere. So I get up the next morning and I'm getting dressed so that I can go to the scene because I need to lay where she laid at. My husband is still asleep, so I'm trying to creep out of the room while he's resting. And he gets up and he's like, what you doing and where you going? Well, I'm about to go to the scene. I ain't want to wake you up. So, I'll be right back, babe. You go ahead and lay back down. And he was like, yeah, nah, dog. Not by yourself, you not. Everywhere you go, I'm going. We stuck together like glue. So, let me get dressed. So, we get dressed. And we go walk the scene. And I see where the police have, spray painted their markings in the street to show where the veer started. I see where they hit the curb. I see the marks and the indentations in the dirt where they flipped. I see where the car slid into its final slide, I guess. And so I see where the car has done its final slide. And I'm walking around and I pull up the video that I screen recorded that my cousin's friend posted. And where I feel like she was laid at, I lay. In my head, it made me feel like I was closer to her. And I'm walking around, looking at stuff on the ground. I see salt and pepper packets. I know they came out of her car. I find a gas receipt for $4. For $4. And I know absolutely without a shadow of doubt that is my mom receipt, because she always said that she put enough gas in her car to get her from point A to point B, because if she filled the tank up, my dad would find a reason to drive her gas out. And it's like really, really hitting me, like, this lady gone. Like, she's gone. So my husband finally gets me away from the scene. We drive, 30, 45 minutes to go see my grandmother so that I can love on her. We're in Texas for a couple days as I'm handling the arrangements. We leave, come back to Louisiana, go to my aunt's, pick up the kids, come back home, The next week, we come back to Texas because it's actual funeral and cremation. After we do funeral and cremation, we come back home to Louisiana. They say that, no, we do the funeral. We come back to Louisiana. They say that, it's going to take like another 7 days to get the cremation done. So the next week, for the third week in a row, I have to come back to Texas to pick her remains up. And we're coming through a little town right outside of where we're supposed to be. And it's a speed trap. They pulled my husband over and said that he's speeding. The officer says, "Where you going in such a hurry?" My husband looks at the time. He's like, "It's 4:30. We have to be at the funeral home to pick up my mom's ashes by 5 o'clock when they close. We just came from Louisiana." And the officer says, "I won't give you a ticket this time. Just slow down. Sorry for your loss. Get to where you're going." So, get there to pick her up. And I had some of her ashes put in necklaces for all of my siblings and my dad. The remainder of her ashes were put into an urn, and I had already made it clear to everybody I wasn't giving up the urn. I don't care who else mama she was. I didn't care whose daughter, whose wife she was. She was my mama. She belonged to me. So, stopped by my parents' house so that I could give my dad and my baby sister their necklaces. And my dad asked if he could hold the urn. Now, my dad is one of those, if you let it touch his hand, it's his kind of people. So before I let him hold the urn, I said, "This is not yours. She does not belong to you. She belongs to me." And so we leave. We come back home. And now I have to deal with the new reality of no longer having a mother. My kids no longer having a maternal grandmother. Me not having somebody that I talk to on a daily basis. Somebody that called my children and sang to them every day. Because my mom had a song for everything, everybody, every grandkid. And through all of this, my husband is right there. In my husband being there, he's trying to figure out how, what is he supposed to do? How is he supposed to be there? His support was the support that I honestly felt like I needed my whole life, everything that I ever went through in life. I wish I had somebody by my side from the beginning as I went through things. But if I screamed, he was right there. If I yelled, he was right there. If I cried, he was right there. Every panic attack, every anxiety attack, he's there, and he's getting me to breathe, and he's bringing me back. And every time I can't sleep, he's sitting up with me. I wake up and he's watching me sleep on some, I'm really just trying to make sure that you're okay, because you were tossing and turning in your sleep. You weren't settled. So all of this happens in April. What's May? Mother's Day. I don't want to celebrate. I don't want to talk about it. I do not. But I'm still somebody's mother. A lot of somebody's. So we have to do some kind of celebration so that the kids get to celebrate me. And then May, my dad turned himself in for the accident. And then June was my birthday. July was Mom's birthday. At this point, I feel like I am losing my absolute mind. I have combed my locks out of my head. I have cut my hair. And I tell my husband, I feel like I am going to have to commit myself. Like, I really, really feel like I'm losing it, because I don't feel like, outside of him, I don't really feel like I could be honest about how I feel and how angry I am. Because I am angry at my father. Like, on the level of, why are you still here and she's not here? If you were driving the car. So past being angry at my father, I'm really, really pissed. Like, how dare you? Like, you took something away from me that I can never get back. Had you wrecked my car, I got insurance, I can get that fixed. Had you burned my house down, I got insurance, can rebuild, buy another one, move, whatever the case may be. But you took something away from me that nobody gave you permission or the right to. So I really, really feel like I'm losing it. I feel like everybody is saying, God got you, baby. It's going to be all right. Just pray about it. Yeah. I'm doing that every day because I'm trying to make it make sense every day. All at the same time, I'm asking God to take some of this hatred and this anger out of my heart. Take it away from me. Like, is this really what you want me to feel on top of grief? I'm the oldest of 7. So anytime one of my siblings call, Johnny on the spot, hey, I know, don't cry. I know, it's, we're going to be all right. We all we got. Mama wouldn't want us to be sad. And the few times that my dad calls, I don't only get his grief, but his guilt. And I realized that I was becoming everybody's emotional trash can. And I remember the sermon from, I want to say maybe 2009, 2010-ish. We went to 5th Street Baptist Church in Oklahoma City, where A. Byron Coleman III is pastor. And it was a Sunday that my mom went to church with me. And a big piece of his sermon that Sunday had to do with people treating you like you were their emotional garbage cans. And pretty much how unfair that was. You only call me when you need to dump your stuff off on me. You only call me when you can't deal with your stuff anymore and you're just adding it on top of my stuff. Never once in life have you asked me what my stuff is, what I need to unpack, what's going on with me, what I need to get rid of, what I need to shake. And so by July of 2020, I've had it. I'm over it all. I'm losing my mind. People are telling me that I haven't grieved. And no, I haven't grieved. How have I had time to grieve? I've been having to be superwoman. I found out she was gone. I had to get to Texas. I had to plan a funeral by myself. I had to identify her body. I had to go back and forth with the funeral home. I had to drive outfits from Louisiana to Texas. That was all on me. And every step of that process, every time they let me see her, I made sure that I saw her. Because I realized early on in this process, that was going to be the only way that I was able to deal with her not being there. And I remember the first time that they let me see her, when they called from the funeral home to tell me that they had gotten her from the medical examiner and they were getting ready to start embalming her body. Oh, I'm rubbing her face on the blanket. Sorry. And they were getting ready to start the embalming process. And Andrea calls from the funeral home and she says, I just wanted to let you know we got your mom. She's here. And I was like, yeah, I'm on my way. But I remember earlier that day, because of the nature of the accident and the car being on top of her, I was told that the owner of the funeral home probably wasn't going to let me see my mom. And I said, yeah, I'm going to see my mom. And they said, well, when it comes to accidents like these, we typically don't let anybody see them because, you could have emotional distress and nightmares. I'm going to see my mama. Well, if eventually we do let the person see their loved one, we have to have you sign a waiver or a disclaimer that says we didn't, force it up on you or you knew the risk. And I said, you want me to type it up myself? Because I'm going to see my mama. So we get to the funeral home and they take me to this very, very small room. And she laying there asleep. She looked like she sleep. She got a little bruise right here. You can tell from impact, and no more blood was circulating through her body. But she looked like at any moment she was gonna wake up and say, girl, why you standing over me looking at me like you crazy? They had the little thing pulled up to right here because they had already done her autopsy. And so I'm at peace because she looked like she rested, and she needed so much rest. The last few years of her life were hard, were stressful. She had her vices, she had her things, but she was still my mama. Who am I to begrudge her because she got some stuff with her? She grown. But by July, my husband and I are in the car and we are driving to Vegas from Louisiana. That is a 23-hour drive. So you learn a lot about a person as they go through grief. You learn a lot about yourself as you go through grief or as your partner goes through it. And we fussed, we fought, we laughed, we cried. Because, it's 23 hours you in the car together. We stopped overnight in New Mexico. I don't think I think that first day we were kind of at our wits' end with each other. I know I had irked every single nerve my husband had. And I know if I was ready to put him out at the gas station and leave him, he was ready to put me out on the side of the road. It was bad. But it was then that I realized in life, as kids, teenagers, as adults. Good morning, little bird. We plan for a lot of things. We plan what we want to be when we get out of school. We plan what we want to go to college for. So the birds are not wanting me to be great right now. We plan for a lot of things in life. Some of us are just planners by nature. But as adults, we plan our relationships. We plan our dates. We plan engagements. We plan weddings. We plan our children. And even if our children aren't planned when they come, we plan how we're going to parent them. We plan the roles and the roles that we're going to play in the children's lives. Who's going to be the disciplinarian? Who's going to essentially be the softie? We plan the roles in a marriage, in that, you know, whether it's God's plan, whether it's your plan, but you know who's gonna be the primary breadwinner, you know, who's gonna pay. Like, my husband's gonna go and he's gonna work and he's gonna make the money for the household. I'm gonna then take that money that's in the bank and I'm gonna pay the household bills. I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna make money and it's gonna go in that same account, and that's what we gonna do the extra stuff with. Like, we plan all of these things, but we never plan what we gonna do if mama gets sick, daddy gets sick, if mama dies unexpectedly. What if mama needs to come, daddy needs to come and stay with us? Like, we don't plan those things. We anticipate that our parents, you know, have planned what's going to happen when they're no longer here. That wasn't the case with my mom. There was no life insurance other than the policy that my grandmother had. There was no will that she made. There was no, this is what I want, this is how I want it, this is what I, you know, other than her saying that she wanted to be cremated. Because if she could not be buried next to my baby brother who died at 6 weeks, then she didn't want to be put in the ground. So the only plan she made was that she wanted to be cremated. But what do you do when there's not a plan in place and you're the one that has to make the decision on how to move forward? What do you do when everybody has a problem with the plan you put in place when they had no suggestions for the plan at all? When they look you in your face and they say, do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, we trust you, just plan it. And then as soon as you do, and other people say, oh, I like that, they say, oh, no, I don't like that, we should do something different. How do you move on? They say it gets easier with time. Like, literally, for the last 9 hours leading into today, being it's her birthday, I've been an emotional mess. I couldn't focus, was getting dizzy, panic attacks, just because I can't call her and sing to her and listen to her be excited. I can't pick up the phone and see her face in real time and hear her. I can't call her so she can cuss somebody out. I can't pick up the phone and be irritated because she calling to fuss about my daddy or cuss my daddy out to me because she can't cuss him out without repercussion. But like, what do you do? How do you move forward? It's her third birthday of her not being here, and it's still hard for me to breathe some days. I still have days and moments where I have to catch myself in the process of shutting down on my husband and children just because I want my mama. There are days that I have woken up from a nap in tears crying because I had a dream about her and she was so beautiful in the dream and she looked so happy and so peaceful. And I'd cry to my husband and I'd say, she's not here. And he'd literally showed me a video of while I was asleep, there was that red cardinal that sat in the bedroom window and stared at me while I slept. Okay, Mama. All right. But how do you process loss? How are you ever really okay when you're dealing with the loss of a parent and it's at the hands of another parent? Can you ever forgive that parent? Do you ever move past it? Can you ever move past it? Would you want to ever move past it? For me, I can't. I don't hate my dad anymore. I love him. I really do. But as a person, as a human being, I do not like him. And I think that it's more so his ways and his actions that I don't like, the selfishness. And hey, we all have selfishness about us. Like sometimes being selfish is mandatory. But how do you deal with the loss of the one person who has loved you above and beyond everything in this world? And how are you supposed to go on? For me, I live every day giving what she gave to me to my children. What she gave to other people, I try to give and do and be that. I try to live every day and make her proud. Every day, I try to make sure that I do something that I would hear her say, that's my baby. That's my wink. But how do you process, even when you don't want to process? I used to think that when something was a problem, I could cry, that would purge, get it out, and let it go. This ain't letting go. I just wish she was here. So, happy birthday, Mommy. I know you in heaven and you eating your Smarties. I know you done probably got, put in time out a few times because you don't know how to stop talking and you popping that big red gum. But I miss you more than I've ever missed anything in my life. Love on your people while they're here. Love on you while you're here. Be present in every day. And learn how to let the little stuff go. Because there were times when the little stuff that she chose in her life would make me not want to deal with her in that moment. And oh God, I wish I could have every single one of those moments back now. Love on your people. Love on yourself. Love on your babies. But happy birthday to the woman that taught me everything about life except the most important thing. And that's how to live without her.